What is going on, my super sandwiches? Rhymestyle here, and today I'm joined by Geek the 101, and today we're going to be discussing kind of a weird question, and that is, how accurate is Dragon Ball Super right now? So originally, Geek and I covered this video, well, something similar to this a couple weeks ago, where we talked about, what was the actual topic that we talked about? I don't even remember.
We talked about Toriyama's role in Dragon Ball Super, yeah.
His actual role.
Yeah.
To kind of summarize that video, and if you want to watch it, it's linked in the description below. To summarize that video, basically Toriyama isn't writing Dragon Ball Super the same way he did Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball. The way he's doing it is he's essentially creating kind of like a summary, a rough draft, or whatever you want to call it. Like, is it even fair to call it a summary?
I've called it a manuscript, but I'm borrowing that term from like the way they do it in Western entertainment. So I guess it's the same thing over there, right? I don't know.
Right. So essentially, he creates this manuscript, and then he hands it over to Toei and Toyotaro, so they can create their adaptations of what basically his plans are. So they create the anime, and then Toyotaro works on the manga that gets released once a month, which is why it's kind of different from the anime. They're similar, they got the same ideas, but they have slight differences that are very, very obvious when you read/watch. So now the question is how accurate is Dragon Ball Super? Because it's no doubt canon, because obviously this is Toriyama's work. This is not like Toei's.
Word.
Yeah, I hate that word. I feel like we should kill canon after Dragon Ball Super is done. But the question is how accurate is actually Dragon Ball Super? Like, how accurate can we take these facts down of what we see in the anime and the manga? Because there's like no real blueprint like there was with the manga, you know, with Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball. We see a lot of plot holes. We don't really know what time period this is taking place. Originally, we thought it was 6 months after the fight with Kid Buu, but that was actually a translation error. And then we see stuff like where Beerus apparently uses 10% of his power to fight against Vegeta, which kind of seems like a lot of power, but at the same time, not really. There's just a lot of questions that are popping up that no one can really answer, and this is not Toriyama's fault. It's not really Toei's fault. It just kind of, I guess, I'd say it's everybody's fault, because they're not really working on this like they did with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. So, Geekdom, what do you think? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
No, I think there is, I hate to say this, but there is some laziness going on as far as storytelling goes. Toriyama has been criticized throughout the years as being a lazy writer. Not a bad writer, but a lazy writer. And the thing about Toriyama, when you really look into the man's like history, look into his you know, his whole life, if you really study up on him, is that this guy, you know, really did work his ass off from 1979 to 1996 non-stop. The dude was...
It's a long time.
Yeah.
This is a long time.
Almost 20 years. Non-stop, weekly. He didn't have to do a comic every month. It was every week he had a new chapter. And by the time that Dragon Ball ended, Dragon Ball Manga, Dragon Ball Z, the series, he was burnt out. But while he was doing Dragon Ball, he was also doing Dragon Quest. He was doing Chrono Trigger back in '96. He was doing, if you remember, a very obscure game on PlayStation 1 called Tobal. He did that as well. So many games this guy's done, so much stuff. And he helped out with the Dragon Ball movies, helped out. So the thing is, though, back then, as you stated, we had the manga. That is the, Quaman would call it the Bible of Dragon.
I was about to say the Bible, too, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so both you guys, yeah, because that's the original source. We don't have that now. All we have is these, mysterious manuscripts, as I call them, of Toriyama saying stuff in. The thing that kind of bugs me is that I don't think Toriyama, I think, gets blamed for certain. Again, we can criticize Toriyama as being a lazy writer, but I don't think he should be blamed for these inconsistencies as much as, Toei should, because I feel that somebody, and I've felt this way for a while, somebody in Toei, if Toriyama was the one that's telling them, because I'm pretty sure they're in contact probably via email or via phone, because that's how it is. They will call, that's how it was in the 90s with Tadayoshi Yamamuro. He would call Toriyama, or he would fax him an art or a picture of Broly or whatever. Toriyama would redesign it, send it back to him. So now I'm guessing it's the same thing. But why is Toei not asking Toriyama for more information? The Beerus thing is very weird. The timeline of Super is very weird. Now, it's been about a month since we recorded our previous video. Now we're seeing bigger differences between the manga and the anime. Champa has already made his presence very known in the manga, not in the anime yet. I do believe he's coming episode 13, but it's almost... I really would like to look at these manuscripts and figure out what Toriyama told them, because I almost feel like now, as we go further and further into this thing, they're going to start to diverge even more. You know?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's what I was saying like 3 minutes ago. I feel like we need to kill the word canon because it's becoming quite the disease in the Dragon Ball Z community. Because like, at this point, we don't know what's canon. I mean, there's still people who say Dragon Ball GT is canon, and it's fine. Believe what you want to believe. You know, if you want to think something that way, then think it that way. But just realize, I guess the whole point of this video is to kind of open up everyone's minds. So you're more aware what's actually happening, what's actually accurate, what's inaccurate, and stuff like that. And with Dragon Ball Super, unfortunately, unless they change it up, we don't have any fact checkers really. I guess the question I have at the beginning is what do you consider canon at this point for just Dragon Ball Super, not for the overall Dragon Ball universe, but for Dragon Ball Super, what is canon to you, the manga or the anime? And that's a tough question to answer myself too, because I can't really think because they're both so different. Because again, we don't have the manuscript. It's not like that's out that you can just kind of look up and stuff and see what he actually wrote. Which I wish we see that one day. I wish we get that one day, but I feel like we're obviously never going to get that, and we're just kind of left with these plot holes and our imaginations, which it's not that bad because it makes for fun discussions. But like at the same time, there's no way to know what's accurate. We don't. There's also a lot of inconsistencies that go back to Dragon Ball Z and make you question that, like. In terms of like how much stronger everybody is, my brain is fried just thinking about this.
I know, it's the whole speed of light thing. We talked about it before we went on the air, and that's the thing that one thing people have to understand about the canon thing. A lot of fans do obsess over it, and here's the way I've always seen it. First of all, Toriyama and Toei have never used the word canon before ever. That word canonical has never been used from them. But the way I've always seen it, the best way to play it is that the original 42 volumes of the manga, yes, they do have inconsistencies, but I feel that is the original canon, and the reason why I feel that way is because that was Toriyama writing it as it went along when he was younger. The Toriyama that exists in 2015 is not the same man as he was back then. He has 2 children now. He's older. He's, you know, obviously he's smarter because you get older, you get smarter the older you get. He's a bazillionaire, even though he kind of was back then too. But the thing is that this Toriyama now is a different guy. He's the same guy, but he's a different guy. It's very similar to George Lucas. I think my theory is the same thing with George Lucas. He was a visionary back then, and then I think that I honestly feel, bro, this is my opinion, I think that people at Toei, some people there probably recognize that there are plot holes here, but because Toriyama Sensei is so worshipped over there, I don't think anybody has the sack to actually say, Toriyama Sensei, can you explain this to me? That's how I honestly feel. That George Lucas kind of creepy, like if you watch the Star Wars behind the scenes vignettes, they were talking about how George would walk into a room and everybody at LucasArts or at Lucasfilm or Industrial Light and Magic would be all like quiet and like in awe of this legend. I kind of feel that's what's going on over there, because you know how the Japanese are very respectful.
And also, before we continue, in not any shape or way or form are we saying that Dragon Ball Super is inaccurate, that Toriyama is an awful person. We're just kind of bringing this to light to let you guys know to think about Dragon Ball Super in a different way rather than the previous Dragon Ball stuff, like with the manga, the Dragon Ball Z. It's just so tough to think like what's actually going on without the actual facts, and we're just never going to get those facts.
I will say this: I started to write a script for a video that I was going to do about canon, and it wound up being a legitimate nightmare because when you really dig into it, right, there are things in the anime that are not in the manga, but there are things that are directly inspired from Toriyama. The Saiyajin Sufurujin or the Saiyan Tuffle War, that's a Toriyama idea. It wasn't in the manga. Same thing with Gregory. Gregory's a Toriyama character, so he's in Super. Okay, fine, put him in Super, not in the manga. There's so much stuff that Toriyama came up with for the anime is that canon. And that's the thing that people, I think, also, everybody has their own canon, man, because they'll sit there and they'll praise Toriyama and they'll say whatever he says is gospel, but then it gets confusing because, okay, well, we love the Bardock special, so we're going to consider that canon. But wait a minute, he didn't write the Bardock special, but he didn't even design Bardock. Yeah.
You know what I think it is? I think it's just what, as a Dragon Ball Z fan, what you don't like is not canon to you. I realized that because I saw a few comments, past couple weeks with Dragon Ball Super. It's like, I don't like Dragon Ball Super. Good thing it's not canon anyways. Or I don't like GT. It's not canon anyways. I don't like this. It's not canon anyways. It's like whatever as a Dragon Ball fan you want to believe. It's kind of like what you're going with, and it's not that bad. I mean, like I said, like Geekdom said, what's canon to you is canon to you, and let's just stick with that.
And I think that the Battle of Gods, the Battle of Gods movie and Revival of F, I think they are closer to Toriyama's vision than what Super is. Super is just
Right.
them kind of stretching it out a little bit more. But we are going to see new things. Champa will be a part of the Battle of God story, I think. I don't think he's going to do Universe 6 yet, but I think he's going to lead to it. So, but that's for another day.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's just a quick little food for thought that we want to kind of toss out there. So let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you made it this far in the video, anything, just feel free to drop us a comment. Check out Geekdom in the description below. Subscribe to him. He's got some pretty awesome content and stuff. But other than that, just like I said, let us know your thoughts. Leave a like rating below and all the good stuff, and we'll take it from there. So yeah, anything else, Geekdom?
No, man, it's just one of those things where I think people, just my final thoughts, people shouldn't worry so much about canon because at the end of the day, Dragon Ball itself is inconsistent. And what I do, and I was talking to a couple people before we went on the air about this, what I do when I watch Dragon Ball is I just try to turn my brain off. Dragon Ball, right?
Just enjoy
it's a popcorn movie, basically. Yeah, it's like
just enjoy it. Just have fun. Don't think too much of it, otherwise you're not going to enjoy it.
Exactly.
It,
It's a living video game. So that's the way it should be seen. It's unfortunate that that's the case. But I will say one last thing, though. I do think that we are going to get guidebooks in the years to come explaining a lot of this stuff. I hope we do, because they always put that stuff out. So we might get some answers. But it's still, there's still so many inconsistencies. But again, it's all throughout Dragon Ball from start to finish. So what can you do?
Yeah. Anyway, so if you guys enjoy that, remember, leave us your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like rating, all the good stuff, and we'll just take them from there. This has been Geekdom
and Rhymestyle.
and we'll see you guys in the comment section below.